My dad, in his early years of marriage, when he found that Mum became pregnant, he decided to join a lodge because of the benefits for families in that time, predominantly in the medical area. So my life has been part of lodges and friendly societies. Probably the ones that I can remember most was visiting my dad in hospital. He wasn't a person who liked to be in hospital. I remember him being in the wing that was the veranda out the side in Crofton Street, and he was told he had to be admitted to a hospital. He told them he wasn't going to go unless he could take his fishing net with him to mend it while he was in hospital. I remember the hoops above the beds that had the mosquito nets on them, and he had his fishing net hooked up through there and he was mending them while he was in hospital. When I was 16, I had my tonsils out at the hospital, and I was in a ward over on the western side of the old Queenslander part of the building, which you can see the roof line of still through Crofton Street. Another thing I can remember is that each Christmas Day our dad would go up, and Mum, to the hospital and have morning tea with the staff at the hospital. Each of the lodges would send along delegates to the Bundaberg Associated Friendly Societies Medical Institute. So they had what was known as the General Committee. So each of the lodges, the participating lodges, would send along one or two delegates to the General Committee. I was one of the last ones onto that General Committee, and I must say that that was probably the years of more fire and brimstone than happens now. The managers of the day were quite often challenged by some of those committee members, and I remember one of them saying, "You should never ask anybody to do something you can't do yourself," which I found humorous at the time because we can't all do everything. But this one person's thinking along the way, and that's something that he had lived his life, that he didn't ask people to do things that he couldn't do himself. The changes in government regulations, they then had to change to a board. They had to act a little differently to the General Committee. The General Committee, it was fine if you were a member and you were appointed by your lodge while you were there, and that was it. I was nominated from the floor to be on the first board, and I voted for someone else who was also in that round. My dad told me afterwards, he was sitting beside me, and he said, "I saw you voted for so-and-so, so I did too." So I believe that possibly we were the only two that voted against me. So I went on to the board then, and I'm the last remaining one off the General Committee. The board now is more professional, it's more focused, we have more external auditing and constant review of the way we do things.